Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Café. I'm Nemo, and today we will be going over some of your guys' Spider-Man hot takes. If you guys enjoy the video at any point today, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button, but let's just hop right into this. Alright, just going straight into these. BECH08 says, my hot take is that the Spider-Verse sucks as an event. I 100% agree with you, okay? I think that Spider-Man works best as a street-level hero, and, when the stakes aren't really that high. But he's just not that character anymore. I think the Spider-Verse has kind of ruined him a little bit. I mean, you started off with the 90s cartoon, you had that little Spider-Verse episode, then you got Shattered Dimensions, the game, and those appearances were very spread out. And then, you had the Spider-Verse run, and things kind of snowballed from there, okay? The Spider-Verse was appearing in everything, and we have all these spider people flying around. I just don't like it. I prefer a street-level Spider-Man story. And No Way Home just kind of, was the nail in the coffin where Marvel realized, we can just make more money with all this Spider-Verse stuff. It's essentially just a giant cow where we can milk cameos out of it and make infinite money. All right, next up, Doobie Man says, I think Spider-Man shouldn't be as averse to killing as people make him out to be, around the same level as Superman. Also, smaller lenses look so much better. I do think that the lenses look better when they're smaller, but addressing the first point, I don't think that Spider-Man should be like Batman when it comes to the no-kill rule, because Batman is mentally ill, he has a compulsive need to preserve life. Spider-Man just doesn't have that mental block, but I do think that Spider-Man, for the most part, does try his best to not kill anyone, because he sees that as part of his, with great responsibility code, okay? Like, he doesn't really see himself as
judge, jury, executioner!
He gets to pick and choose who lives and dies. He tries his best to keep everyone alive, and he doesn't like to cross that line. But if he needs to, I don't think he's gonna, have a mental breakdown over it. I mean, he might, but not on the same level that Batman would. So I kind of agree with this. All right, on to the next one. The Spider-Crafter 8547 says, Peter as Spider-Man shouldn't start mentoring another Spider person or hero until around 5 years or after 5 years into his superhero career. I agree with this, okay? First off, I really hate all the extra spider people running around. I see it the same way as like a super huge bat family. It's just unnecessary and it's cluttered, okay? I think it should just be Peter, Miles, Ben Reilly, okay? I don't even really like Kane that much. I know some of you guys do, I'm sorry. But, I agree with this, okay? Spider-Man, Peter Parker, should operate as a solo hero for a long time, okay? I don't like it when other people are taking the spotlight away from him. And also, he's not really a team-up guy outside of the Fantastic Four, okay? He thinks that the Avengers are, douchebags who just make a giant mess.
Thanks for swinging by, Spider-Man.
You Avenger guys are really great at making a mess.
And they're pretentious and they're rich, and he doesn't really like them that much in, the older comics. I don't know how it is nowadays. I haven't really read a lot of Spider-Man comics because, they're really bad. But anyway, so in the Insomniac universe, it's a perfect example. Peter was Spider-Man for 8 years before Miles Morales was even introduced. I think that that's great, okay? And, it just makes it more believable that Peter could teach someone because he has 8 years of experience and wisdom to share. Yeah, this is a good take. All right, this one might be a pretty hot take. Gouliand9441, sorry if I mispronounced that, says, the mantle thing or the idea that anyone can wear the mask can sometimes take away from Spider-Man as a character. Not every hero needs to be a mantle to pass down. I agree. Okay? I think when people say,
anyone can wear the mask,
I think they take it a little too literally. The meaning behind that phrase is that everyone can see themselves in Spider-Man. He is relatable. And it's mostly because, of his personal life, but also his costume. It is a faceless, full body costume, okay? Anyone of any race, any age, any size can see themselves in Spider-Man because of the way that he is designed, okay? That does not mean that everyone has the willpower and strength and mental fortitude to be Spider-Man. Are we forgetting that he's a literal genius and designed web shooters? Not anyone can do that, okay? I think they take that phrase too literally. Not everyone can be Spider-Man, and it definitely does take away from the character a little bit because Spider-Man is an exceptional human being with amazing willpower, a strong moral compass, and just the highest intellect ever. Okay, that is not something that the average person can achieve. So I agree with this. Good take, bro. All right, Alfie Maynard, HZ8VB says, I will admit that it has its flaws, but I genuinely enjoyed Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I also enjoyed it, okay? I think it's just a fun little Elseworld story. It doesn't really need to be anything else, and it's a kid's show, okay? Like, they didn't do anything that, you know, really boils my blood or anything. Like, it wasn't pissing me off. It's just a Spider-Man cartoon, and it was pretty fun. I liked it. All right, this is probably going to be the hottest take of the video, but Darth Vader 11912 says, Tobey Maguire is the worst Spider-Man by a long shot. It looks like people are finally catching on. Yes, Tobey Maguire is the worst live-action Spider-Man in my opinion, but don't get me wrong. I still love his movies. You know, they are masterpieces for their time. Sam Raimi is an excellent director. The writing is pretty good. But Tobey Maguire just gives a lifeless performance, and he lacks the charm, wittiness, charisma, and sarcasm that it takes to be Spider-Man, okay?
Are you in or are you out?
It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
We sure showed him.
What do you mean, we?
And his Peter isn't any better, okay? Peter isn't, you know, like some weirdo freak, okay? He may be a little bit of a nerd, and he might have been a social outcast in his first few issues of his original run, but like, oh my gosh, this guy is such a loser. And that's just not what Peter is, okay? Like, in his first few issues, he is a loser, okay? But the more that he is Spider-Man, the more his confidence goes up, and the more that his actual personality and his Spider-Man personality merge into one, and he becomes a more complete individual. It is a story about a boy growing up into a man through the identity of Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man helps him grow up. Tobey Maguire just doesn't really deliver with that. And yes, Spider-Man 2 does nail the relatable struggles of life aspect of the character, but the thing is, none of that is thanks to Tobey Maguire's performance. It is all thanks to the writing and the script. It has nothing to do with how Tobey is delivering his lines, how he's acting. He is just so lifeless. He is like a mannequin wearing a Spider-Man costume. I'm getting a little heated on this because I think we are all very blinded by nostalgia when it comes to a lot of these things. And I really think that Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man is one of them. All right, on to the next one. Anything Center says Homecoming is a top 4 Spider-Man movie. I think I agree with this because Spider-Man Homecoming has aged incredibly well, but also it's a pretty grounded story. Now, I don't like Spider-Man always being tied to big Avengers characters, and I know that it's that way because of the deal that Sony and Marvel made, and it's stupid. And all of Spider-Man's appearances in the MCU are huge, universe-ending threats, but I think that Homecoming is as grounded as they could have made it, okay? And I like it, you know? I didn't like it when it first came out because I was still in denial that Andrew Garfield wasn't Spider-Man anymore. And, you know, I was like 15 or 16, okay? I was just an edgy teenager who just hated anything new. So I hated Tom Holland, but looking back, he didn't really do that bad of a job. He was pretty good. Way better Peter than Tobey. Probably not as good of a Spider-Man as Andrew Garfield, but he did pretty good. But I really think that the story of Homecoming was very refreshing because it focused a lot more on the high school aspect of the character. Now, I do think that Spider-Man is stuck in high school too much nowadays. But, you know, they actually let us see Peter's life in high school, because usually in like the Tobey and Andrew movies, he's in high school for like a few scenes and then, oh, he's graduated. And then the rest of the movie is just about Spider-Man. This movie struck more of a balance, and it's something that I really admire about it. All right, the next hot take. Mr. Theme Song says, Knull could have been a saga-level villain if Sony weren't greedy bastards. I don't think that they're greedy. I mean, obviously they are. It's a big corporation, you know, whatever. They're all greedy. I think that they're just stupid, okay? Why would you make a Spider-Man cinematic universe and not include Spider-Man? Are you dense? Okay, nobody's gonna go to the theater to watch Madam Web. Nobody goes to the theater to watch a Spider-Man villain. They want to see Spider-Man, okay? Morbius, Kraven the Hunter, Venom, and yes, a Venom story can work without Spider-Man, but not a Venom origin story. Spider-Man is essential to Venom's origin. They're tied together. You can't remove Spider-Man from that. So I think Sony's just stupid. They make horrible financial decisions, and they're dumb. And I don't like them. And they're stupid. And they're dumb. Be Real 5298 says, compared to other comic book films we've gotten lately, Spider-Man 3 truly isn't that bad and isn't deserving to have ended the Raimiverse. Yeah, I can agree with this. I don't think that Spider-Man 3 is that bad, you know, looking back. And it's mostly because, you know, that movie doesn't have 5 cameos a minute. and, is shoving a multiverse crap in your face. It's a Spider-Man movie, okay? I don't know why it's so hard to just get a regular old Spider-Man movie. Come on, guys, it's not that hard. I have high hopes for Brand New Day because supposedly it's supposed to be a street level story, but the Hulk's gonna be in it, and it makes me kind of worried. But yeah, Spider-Man 3 wasn't that bad. All right, Trev the Goat 12 says, Spider-Man should have a new love interest, get rid of Mary Jane, have him marry a new woman. Yes. Okay, I don't think I've disagreed with a single take in this video so far, but I don't like Mary Jane. I used to, but too many writers have taken her and done their own things with her and just completely ruined her, okay? Listen to me, Insomniac, she is not Lois Lane, okay? She's not supposed to be a reporter. She is a party girl who hides her pain through a happy-go-lucky, extroverted personality. Okay, I know you wanted to give her something to do in the story, but you stripped her of the depth that makes her special. And don't even get me started on the Raimi movies. I mean, in those movies, MJ is for the streets, okay? She is just hopping from guy to guy, picking the man with the most social status at the time, whether it be Harry Osborn, John Jameson, Spider-Man. I mean, she left a dude at the altar to go be with Peter, but only after he revealed that he was Spider-Man. She didn't care about him until he was Spider-Man. She is just the worst. It is just the worst character assassination I think I have ever seen. MJ used to be something truly special, but she is forever ruined. Let's see someone new. All right, this one kind of ties into the last one. Forrest Cooper says, here's kind of a hot take. Black Cat is one of the best love interests for Spider-Man. Yes, yes, yes. I think we all love Black Cat. And every time she shows up, it's just fresh and it feels new. And Spider-Man's not bogged down by all the crap that MJ throws in him, okay? I think that it could be a really interesting story if Spider-Man is actually able to redeem Black Cat and they live a happy life together, okay? She doesn't need to go back to crime every single time. She can evolve as a character. She's kind of stuck in this loop, kind of like the Lizard, where it just keeps playing the same story over and over again. Spider-Man trusts her, then she breaks his trust, and she's a criminal again, and she's stealing things. No, you don't have to live like that, okay? We can have more. We deserve more. Spider-Man deserves more. Give him Black Cat, have them get married, have little weird spider children. It would be nice. I would like to see that. All right, on to the next one. Was Ifum says, Spider-Man could use a sidekick / friend in the comics, not a different type of Spider-Man though. I don't know. I mean, that maybe could have worked back when he was rich and had Parker Industries, but he doesn't have time for a sidekick. I mean, he barely has time for Miles, and Miles isn't even a sidekick. He's just like a partner. They just exchange, troll roots and stuff. I don't really think that would work. And Peter would also, I don't know. No, I don't see this working. I'm sorry. All right, here's one I actually disagree with. August Hillbilly says, I think Andrew's Spidey suit is completely overrated, Tobey's is the best, and Tom's No Way Home Final Swing suit is second. Now, I agree with you on some of it, and just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I think you're an idiot, okay? We all got our opinions. It's not a big deal. But, the No Way Home suit is pretty good, but at the end of the day, it's a CG model, and a pretty awkward one at that, okay? It looks like he's wearing a vacuum-sealed bag. And, if it was a practical suit and we actually got to see it for more than 5 seconds, I might like it more. Kind of like the Brand New Day suit. That suit's perfect, but it's practical. It's got wrinkles, creases. It looks like a real tangible, thing that you can touch and wear. The No Way Home suit just isn't that, and so I can't really praise it that much. Now, I really don't like Tobey Maguire's design, okay? I think the raised webbing is kind of stupid. It looks chunky and weird. It makes him look a little bigger than he's supposed to be. And I really just can't get behind the angular lenses, like the triangle shape. It doesn't really scream friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It looks like he's gonna kill me. And he probably will. And are we being real here? Andrew's suit is the best. I think that both of them are so good. Obviously, the second one is peak Spider-Man. I have that at number 2 on my list, just under the Brand New Day suit, but I mean, how can you hate that nice shade of freaking satin red? How can you hate those lenses? They're big and buggy and awesome, and it's just so good. I don't know. I love that suit. I'm a little biased. All right, next up, Sick Dude YT says, Spider-Man No Way Home is not good. It's only fan service. I think some parts of it are good. Okay, I think some of the main story beats are pretty enjoyable, but it is full of fan service. It's like 80% fan service, okay? There's not a single original villain in that movie. It's all old ones. And then, you know, the 3 Spider-Men, it was fun to see, but, you know, when you watch this movie at home, it's very apparent that it was designed for huge, packed theaters. I mean, you have moments like the one where Andrew Garfield shows up in the portal and he's just standing there breathing, staring at the camera for like a solid 6 seconds. Nothing's happening. But, you know, the people who made the movie know that people are going to be cheering and clapping there, so they leave that space. I don't think that you should design movies, you know, around those moments. You know, I think that you should create a movie with the intention of making it timeless. You know, I don't know. It's not really good when you rewatch it, okay? It was amazing in the theaters. I had a great time. I was losing my mind. But, you know, watching it at home, it's like, you know? And it's mostly just because of the fan service and all of the weird theater moments that are designed for people to be literally having seizures in their seats over the return of the Spider-Man. It's overrated. All right, and the last one. Legends in the Making says, I think the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man is the best artistic design. I see where you're coming from, but there's always just been something that's been a little off-putting to me about it. You know, it seems a little creepy. I don't know, maybe it's the proportions, maybe it's the messy webbing, I don't know. I've always liked John Romita Sr. the best. I think his design is just classic and timeless, but also I know he doesn't really draw for Spider-Man that often, but I love the way that Dan Mora draws Spider-Man. I know he usually works for DC, but I think he should do some work with Spider-Man more. Also, I don't remember his name on the top of my head, but the guy who draws for the current Ultimate Spider-Man run, his art is pretty much perfect. I mean, I love it, but I do think that Todd McFarlane is just a little bit overrated. I'm sorry. All right, guys, that's going to be about it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it all, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button and drop in the comments your Spider-Man hot takes. They might be featured in a part 2. I'm sorry that this isn't my usual Batman content. You know, I might have shot myself in the foot calling this channel Cape and Cowl Café, but, you know, I like to talk about other superheroes. I don't want to just be a Batman channel, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.